Good evening, everybody. This is Aaron the Pedantic. If you're catching this replay, I don't know what time it is, but it is currently Sunday night, kind of late, 10 p.m. ish. I just wanted to do a stream first off to announce that I'm looking for maybe a couple players in my AD&D game. We had a few players that had to drop off, and because of that, our Group B group is kind of small. It's at a comfortable size. We have 4 players that have been regular, but there's a 5th one that hasn't been able to make it lately, and a few other ones had to drop out for various reasons. Because of that, it can get a little bit dicey unless the players are pretty well. They're still establishing themselves. There aren't a whole lot of henchmen. If there were a lot of henchmen, there probably wouldn't be that much of a difficulty. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where a small group online is really pretty great, but it's also kind of hard. It's very easy to die. It's so easy to die in classic D&D, y'all. So yeah, the games are going fantastic. It's just, the groups are just kind of, that one group is kind of small. The other group is pretty healthy. For reference, we do play Monday evenings, 6:30 to usually about 10 o'clock Central Time. We play very, very heavy dungeon crawl style. We're doing the Group B. The one that I'm recruiting for is the Dark Shelf group, which it's not even fair to call them that anymore because they've completely wandered off. They're currently in Nessermouth and doing kind of whatever the hell they feel like. Just last session, they flushed out a troglodyte lair and just burned all of the air out of their lungs. It was quite beautiful, but they also got a lot of coin in the process. I did not expect them to be able to pull that off. It was a pleasant surprise. PDX GearCon asked definitely Mondays. Yeah, Mondays at 6:30 to about 9:30 or 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. So yeah, so mostly first edition rules with a very slight deviations. Natural 20s, you get what I consider like advantage damage. So you roll the damage twice and get the highest. It's a nice compromise, I think, because I think doubling the damage is a little much. Getting max damage can be a little bit much, but advantage damage not so bad. It just feels kind of crummy to roll a natural 20 and then not get any kind of benefit other than yes, I hit a little bit more. Yeah. Well, thanks, Chris. Chris put it here for it to. Yeah, dungeon crawl style game. Yes, indeed. So that is that thing. If anybody's interested, you can contact me. Leave me a comment here, and I'll give you a link to the Discord. Or if you're already on the Discord, you can just send me a message on, and I'll try and get you in. We play every other week because I have Group A on this week, and next week is Group B. So you have a whole week to get in the group if you're wanting to play. I could use maybe 1 or 2 players. The most important thing is don't cause any friction with the other players, and then we're good. So try to fit in, I guess, is the thing I'm looking for. And you need a microphone, obviously. Okay, so yes, we're recruiting for that game. What I wanted to talk about, though, I guess while I have the moment, is I've just been thinking it happened so quickly, this is going to seem like a very small achievement. So don't laugh, but I just had I noticed that the Discord thing has been growing for growing. I feel like it's we get new people every. Chris says cause friction. Got it. The Discord server it boomed in population at first. So for those who don't know, I started it because I wanted to do a West Marches campaign with Discord using Old School Essentials, and it grew in popularity pretty quickly. We went through a lot of players, and then there were some standard groups that mostly stuck around. Probably about 20, I'd say like 20 active players that played in games. It started with just me being the referee, and then we ended up getting at least 3, maybe 4 more referees on top of just being me. And so we were having 3 or 4 games every week, and it was really cool. That was the whole reason I started it for the most part. It was also because I was a little bit frustrated, getting on other Discord servers and being inundated with a lot of political takes. Um, I really don't want that kind of stuff whenever I'm trying to enjoy gaming. I feel like there were a lot of times I'd notice people getting in these petty squabbles with each other because of political takes, or even, not so much religion. The religion stuff people didn't really argue about that as much. It was mostly politics. That got frustrating. And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, that's something we don't do at the gaming table. And what I really want is for my Discord server to be kind of like the gaming table in that capacity, that you don't bring those contentious subjects from outside to the gaming table, because then people get mad. They don't want to associate with each other. It just breaks down unless everybody just so happens to agree. And I really don't want it to be just another server where everybody has the same political alignments and all that kind of stuff. So, in so doing, I learned I also had to ban porn because people started. I had this one guy that started just putting furry stuff everywhere. Oh my god! Um, and for the most part, though, it's really been cool, because what happened is, we played the public game for about 6 months, maybe about 6 to 7 months, and then other games started coming on top of it. And now I'm not going to pretend that people are playing in the server at all times. That's not true. We had a very, very strong period of time where people were playing all kinds of games, especially whenever COVID. I said the evil words. I've probably been demonetized. Whenever the coof hit hard, everybody was locked inside. People were playing all the time. Especially, there were a lot of people that were working from home, so they had the opportunity to play at various times of the day. And it was really thriving at that point. There aren't as many games going on now. We have my game going on. We have Prince of Nothing runs a BX game. He does Keep of the Borderlands. I think it's on Saturdays, but it's almost always full. If anybody's on the Discord, they can apply for it, I think, but I don't know if you can get in. But a lot of the people that play on the server will recruit off of the server. A lot of people that we all kind of know each other at this point. That we've gotten to the point where we have this very strong sense of community, I think, and it's really cool. I mean, it's at a point. Medpit says, please grow a fro. If my wife had her way, I probably would, but if my bosses begin to complain, then I'm gonna have to let it go. I was actually planning on getting my sides trimmed on Tuesday, but we'll see how that goes. If it gets butchered, then I'm probably just gonna shave it all off. Not that I want to, but that's why the beard is having to regrow, is because I screwed it up, and I had to trim it all off because it was just too terrible. Anyway, I came to this realization. I was like, I'm reading these people's texts throughout the day, and we usually have a pretty good amount of talking in the busiest channels throughout the day, and I was able to read everything mentally in the voices of everybody that was speaking. So Aaron the Relentless, I've got this. I would try to mimic, but I can't pull it off. I can hear his voice, and then I read something from Ash of Creativity, and I can hear his voice, and it was just going on and on, because a lot of us, just sit around in voice chat, which is a lot of fun. It's almost every day you will find some people loitering in voice chat, talking with each other. And we've had, moments where there are like 15 people. I think 15 is the record so far. A lot of times it's usually between like 4 and 8 people whenever it's going pretty well. But we just talk about games. Whenever I'm not around, sometimes they talk about forbidden topics. I can't really do anything about that, but there haven't really been any major spats. But I'm just really pleased with how everything has come along, because really a lot of the other avenues that I've had to discuss role-playing games have been really not that satisfying. I tried it on MeWe, and on MeWe, it was kind of hard to find exactly the stuff I was looking for. And you would get a lot of porn bots and things like that. And then at some point, the messaging started going more political, and that's again, I just don't really care for that. Twitter, I can occasionally have an interesting discussion, but it's a lot harder to have a discussion that is old school spirited. It doesn't end up getting like somebody is interpreting everything you're saying in the most terrible ways possible, and taking offense to them, and it becomes this really terrible, a fight and all that kind of stuff. We kind of fight on the Discord occasionally, but it's not, I don't know, it's not that mean spirited whenever we do it. We're just trying to find out what the other people's positions are. So that ends up being a lot better. I do definitely appreciate that. I do have a lot of great discussion on YouTube. So, I mean, at least there is that. Without Discord, there's at least YouTube. But, I can very often, just bring up stuff in there, and we have really awesome discussions. And in fact, the people that y'all will see or do see on my streams whenever I do have them, a lot of the guests on the show are just, people that hang out in the Discord that we talk to. So if you're ever interested in hearing what they have to say on subjects, and you can go in there and talk to them as well. They use pretty much the same names that they use on here. So we have a really cool time. There's some people that never come onto the streams that do get into voice chat and have a lot to say. And occasionally we have some people that do quite a bit of design work and stuff like that. It's always funny because we have some very polarized opinions that are always clashing with each other, and just seeing how they work out, especially whenever it involves Ash of Creativity, because he is a guy that loves 4th edition, or at least loves what it has to offer, and thinks very much in terms of making sure that the players have cool stuff that they can do, which conflicts with the polar opposite end, which is like nothing but OD&D, take away all of the classes and features, and just have the most basic kind of play whatsoever to, for maximum immersion in that kind of thing. So you have people fighting about that stuff. Let's see. Mepit says, been really loving the content, bro. Thanks heaps. I appreciate it, man. I've been meaning to make more, just been partially busy, and then partially just really trying to learn, trying to get my AD&D game down. Which, like I said, I'm running a game on Mondays. I'm running a game on Thursdays, and that one is a 5e one. It's in real life. I play in a game on Wednesdays, and then I have a Lion and Dragon game on Sundays. We haven't really been able to do that lately, though. So, I'm prepping quite a bit, honestly, especially for the 1st edition game, because I'm doing maximum hex crawl, basically maximum hex crawl. So, I have gigantic hex map, keying all these locations. It's still a work in progress. There are still some situations where they may go into a zone that I haven't fully mapped out yet, and I'm going to be relying on my tools to try and make things work out. Perhaps one of the smartest things I could do is do a stream while I'm prepping, but I feel like that would be the most boring thing imaginable. I think it'd be more useful for me to do perhaps an instructional video showing about how I prep. I think that would be more interesting, and but then again, it wouldn't be the 2 birds 1 stone kind of thing. I just feel like recording my prepping is kind of cheating. It's kind of like, this is the lazy YouTuber method of, oh God, I have to prep, and oh God, I also haven't uploaded anything, and the algorithm is going to murder me. Reiko says, sounds like a D&D metal band, Maximum Hex Crawl. It does, and I would love to hear that. So, what have I been up to? So the 1st edition game is going great. The Hamlet group is picking up again tomorrow, and they very well might finish the Moat House. It is very, very possible. It is also possible that stuff goes poorly, and they end up having to run with their tails between their legs, regroup, and then try it again. but it is possible that they will finish the Moat House tomorrow. And that's kind of a terrifying prospect because if y'all don't know, that means that they could potentially go on to move toward the things that continue the Temple of Elemental Evil module, which itself has a lot of gaps, a lot of things that need to be filled in. And I've been really focusing on getting stuff filled in for Group B currently. So I'd have to like redouble my efforts on Group A. Or they could say, screw that, and we're going to go off and do whatever, because they have, as usual, an entire world to go through. So, it could go any way. It's kind of frightening, but also exciting. Super Colonel says a train wreck of a module. So that's what a lot of people have said. I found that Temple of Elemental Evil seems okay. I mean, so T1 is the crown jewel by far. The Moat House is really cool. It's a fantastic starting dungeon. It shows you how to put together a decent town. It gives you an idea of like how much money like little villagers might have, maybe, if you want to follow the same model. How many powerful NPCs of what levels, and what kind of things might they be interested in doing, who might be willing to join you. Be sure to let people stab them in the back if it's appropriate. Have different agents throughout the town, so that way you can have some strife going on. It is perfect for that kind of stuff. Temple of Elemental Evil, though, I don't know about that. Let's see. Michael Stronghold asks, have you watched any of John's D&D vlog on T-Series? I have not. Is that the title of the channel? Because if it is, then yeah. Super Colonel says, takes a lot of DM manipulation. That's what I've been told. I've been told it basically requires, it's basically half done, and it needs a helping hand to be finished. If that's the case, I love it and I hate it. I love it because, that's a lot of real estate with a lot of great ideas. And the stuff about restocking the dungeon as time progresses is, I think, fantastic. It's a great reminder. It's something that a lot of people forget, is that time passes, stuff's going to move in. And I mean, it's just conceptually really cool. In execution, is it really cool? I've been whelmed by it. I haven't been over and I haven't been under, just whelmed. That's all. If you run the simple right, it's going to stand out for players. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll check out that vlog. He used to have a how to run doc, but doesn't give it out anymore. I should put it on like a Patreon or something, make it available. Don't make stuff and hide it. Come on. Make it available for a price. Yeah, so it's going to require some work. Either way, if that means, because of that, I'm going to be very busy. I don't see my busyness changing unless I drop my Wednesday game and my Thursday game. I would hate to do it because my Wednesday game is with the group that I've been playing with. Kind of mix. There's one player that I've been playing with for about 4 years now. And another couple of the other players I've been playing with them for about 2 years now. We're really good friends at this point. And so I would hate to drop that game. If I were to drop that game, then I wouldn't get to see any of them again, except for, random meetups and things like that. And some of them have moved off, so we can only play online if we play together. So I would hate to drop that game. My Thursday game is my only in-person game. So I would hate to drop that game because it's been nice to get back to in-person gaming. So that's that. As I said in the video, well, I created a video. It is going to premiere tomorrow, but I mentioned in it that I got this. This came in over the weekend, and I've been reading it. It's not very long, but it's pretty dense. And my impressions of it so far are that there are a lot of mechanics in here that I don't think I'm ever going to reference in play, but I think that they're great at getting some information for how you might want to adjudicate it. What kind of modifiers might you apply whenever they use these kinds of preparations to climb walls, and what are some things that you need to consider whenever they're doing this kind of stuff. Be sure to put, poisonous gases and all kinds of weird things in your underground travels. I think it's pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat so far. We'll see what I think about. I haven't read the second half of it, which is actually the DM section, ironically, because it's a lot of world building stuff, and I just really wasn't interested in reading that. I just kind of wanted to see like, oh, how do you handle this? How do you handle this? And then I got this Monster Manual 2, which, I mean, none of the stuff in here, none of the things in here actually new to me necessarily, because I have the Monstrous Manual, the second edition Monstrous Manual, which has like everything. It is jam-packed full of monsters. So, I mean, none of these are really new, but at the same time, it is cool having the first edition version. And there is the added benefit. This was pre-owned, so somebody has done the honors of coloring in the pictures of the monsters using the way that they're described in the text. So I'm going to assume that this belonged to a teenager or a child at one point, because I don't really see an adult doing this. But I got to say, this is probably a cool kid. I respect the fact that they tried to color them the right colors. They tried to include all the right colors. I respect that. But Monster Manual 2 is pretty cool so far. And if nothing else, I do greatly appreciate the way that it handles stats over 18. That is nice. This whole chart right here, all these things, because I used to wonder, like, what in the heck would that look like? What does it look like when you have 19 strength or 25 or whatever? I thought, is it just 18? And then, well, I mean, you can't go over 100. 18 100 is as high as it goes. So what do you do? But this tells you, so that's pretty cool. Let's see. Michael Stronghold says, I just started T1 in a new progression for mostly new OSR players. It's already by far the game I'm looking forward to each week. Awesome. Child of the early 80s guy is probably a man at this point. Yeah, probably. Well, who knows? Maybe he watches this channel. Very, very, very unlikely. But if he did, maybe he recognized, oh, that was my coloring job. So if so, then say hi. There's actually some names in here, but I'm not going to say them just for their privacy. Anyway, well, I mean, so if you're running T1, then you also get to consider those awesome things about the agents throughout the town that can be activated in different times. I mean, the book actually tells you, hey, if they manage to kill Lareth, then guess what? There's going to be an assassin coming after them. That says things to me. It speaks volumes to me. So what happened in my game is pretty interesting, which, by the way, so this is kind of a side note, and I wanted to talk about this in a separate video, so sneak peek, I guess. But I am doing this thing called Patron Play, which is something that the BroSR does. Basically, you let a person, it doesn't matter who, you let them control an NPC in your world, a major NPC. So in this case, I'm letting somebody who's a friend of the channel control Lareth. And so whenever the player characters attempted to go into the lair and were wiped out almost, captured, tortured, all that, then I was able, after they rescued those people that were captured, I asked him, hey, what does your guy do? And he told me, okay, so I'm going to have this happen. I'm going to have this happen. I'm going to have this happen. These are my plans. These are the things that if I were in Lareth's position, I would try to do. And he knows roughly what Lareth has available, and anything that is, impossible, obviously I just, I just let him know, oh, that can't be done. And then after that, we just roll with it from that point. So he was able to give me all this preparation work that he would have Lareth he would do if he were Lareth. And it's awesome. It is really cool. I have to say, is it a game changer? Maybe it is a game changer, because whenever you offload that burden and you just give somebody a very narrow perspective on everything, they can just like zoom in on it. They can just zoom in on it. It might be just that the guy is smarter than me. That might be what it is. But having him control Lareth in that capacity in between sessions is fantastic, and I love it. I'm doing that with some other people as well. So they're not only bad NPCs. We have somebody who's controlling Sir Michael, which actually is the guy that played Sir Michael in my West Marches game. Now, Sir Michael is a high-level domain NPC, and so he is controlling one of the major churches in the region that my Thursday night game is playing in. And so he has set the agenda for the realm for the next month, and actually for probably several months. It's going to take a while to do what he wants to accomplish. And we have other actors in the region as well. We have Nickar. So some of you might remember when I was talking about the West Marches campaign, Nickar was our longest surviving magic user. Very first magic user ever in the campaign, survived everything in spite of everything crazy that happened. He survived all of it. It was really pretty remarkable, especially considering his stats were kind of meh. His stats were not very great. He survived incredible things. He even dove into a pool of sea serpents, which in BX, bite, savers, poison, or die. that's just how it works. He just dove in there and started stabbing them at one point, and this is after, of course, most of the campaign, him hiding in the center like you're supposed to as a magic user. But yeah, I mean, he put on some serious big boy pants and just dove right in and did all that kind of stuff. And now he is a high level magic user, which in AD&D has incredible things. And so in Group B, Robbie's character did some training under Nickar and signed a contract to repay a favor in return for the training at an undisclosed time and for an undisclosed thing. So now I have Nickar, the player, is going to tell me what exactly needs to be done and when. So Patron play. It is very cool. I'm very excited about it. Let's see. I got a few more comments, and then I probably need to go to sleep because I got work in the morning and I'm kind of tired. Let's see. Okay Sign says, would you ever make a video on how you run an AD&D game or how you bring in 5e players to that style of gaming? All right. Well, so yeah, I can do that. I mean, the long story short, what I will do is I'll probably just make a general video going through my procedures, because the procedures can be used in any version of D&D for the most part. There might be some adaptations and things like that, and they translate in importance to all of them. When you check for wandering monsters, how to check for surprise, which, I mean, that gets kind of screwy when we talk about 5e because of passive perception and all that. But whenever you're talking about the economy, when you're talking about just the way that monsters behave, morale rules, because the morale rules in 5th edition are actually pretty terrible, then I'll be highlighting my procedures, and those procedures will work in any version of D&D that you bring out, especially if you just ignore stuff like passive perception. I would tell the players, hey, don't get proficiency in perception. It will, and try to use that in order to thwart being surprised. It will not work. Don't do it for that reason. Just pick something other than perception. Perception sucks. But anyway, how do you bring 5e players in that style of gaming? So it's not 5e players that you have to bring in. It's a particular kind of 5e player. The reason I say that is because whenever you are trying to bring in players, if they are 5th edition primarily, they are already going to need to have an itch that needs to be scratched, and that is going to be the itch of challenge, and it's something that they are not being served very likely. Most of these players that I pull into this style, whenever I advertise and I say this is going to be a challenging game, I'm not pulling punches, characters will die, I roll in the open. So I'm not cheating, and I don't have any interest in killing your characters or anything like that. It just happens. Characters will die. Then a certain type of player will show up and a certain type of player will not show up. That's the thing that you're looking for. The people that want to get into a very narrative style of gaming, they're probably not going to show up because that's not the kind of thing that they're interested in. They can't get the same satisfying character arcs and things like that if they have to worry about their character kicking the bucket. And whenever you talk about challenge, then they're thinking, oh, okay, hard fights. I'm not really into hard fights. Some of them will be like, okay, the challenge, and then they'll think hard fights and they'll think gamist perspective, and because of that they'll think I need to bring my super uber mega feats, that kind of thing. So you can shut that down by saying we're not doing any multi-classing, we're not doing feats, or we're doing custom feats. You can shut that down with that, and you will notice there will be a lot less replies. There will be a lot less replies, but at least they will save you some time, because they will not go in there expecting that you're going to run it just like everybody else, but maybe it's a little bit harder, and then getting there and realizing that you are not running it the way that they expected, and get upset and leave. My current 5th edition game, I told them no multi-classing. I just unequivocally, I said there will not be any multi-classing except under very specific circumstances, and it's not because that's a build that you wanted. It's just not going to happen. Intend to play the same character class from start to finish, and you're probably going to have multiple characters, so don't get too attached to a single character. And whenever I did that, the people that were attracted to the game, primarily an older audience, I noticed. It was most of the people in that group are in their 30s and 40s, that kind of thing. We do have somebody who's in his 20s, but I've been playing with him for a long time, so he knows that I'm a pretty decent dungeon master, so he can expect to have at least a fair shake and probably some interesting things to do. Let's see. Michael actually has something to say on it. Well, first let's hit this other comment. I have players from childhood whose PCs are still alive and powerful characters in the world. I still talk with them about high-level stuff their characters are doing. That's awesome. Michael says, to bring 5e players in, you play 5e until they get bored and want to try something else. Has worked for me since 3rd edition. Bad part is you have to play inferior game for a while. So like I said, I am running 5th edition, and I'll probably do a video at some point about I can fix her. It's kind of a meme in my Discord because I always talk about it, and Prince of Nothing likes to harass me and say, you can't fix her, Aaron, let her go. She's my toxic ex-girlfriend kind of thing. But you really can in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways you can. Using stuff that's in the Dungeon Master's Guide. A lot of people don't read the Dungeon Master's Guide. That's my biggest thing that people get taught wrong about DMing. There are people that will go out there and say, you don't need to read the Dungeon Master's Guide. Those people need to be smashed with, okay, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to get flagged. Those people are wrong. They are wrong, and they are hurting the people that they say that to. There are some people that can be good dungeon masters without any kind of extra guidance, without really understanding the system, because they are good at understanding the variables in the world. What I mean by that is, for me, I needed to read, for instance, me reading Dungeoneer's Survival Guide. I know people see this and they're going to cringe, because they're like, oh my God, there's all these really intricate mechanics in there and it's too much and I'm not interested. It helps me because it gives me a baseline. It says, Aaron, these are the things that people might want to think about if they are, going through an underground area, because I've never been through an underground area. I don't have any point of reference. I haven't had to think about it in system terms very much. And because of that, I'm more likely than not, to make a weird adjudication and to make it over and over and over again and let it become a habit. And that can lead to some very improbable conclusions. In order to avoid that, instead, I can read stuff that answers those questions that was done by the people that created the system. And because of that, I can maybe have a better idea to start from. It's not an ending position necessarily. It's not something that I'm going to grab and use at the table every single time, but you need to at least read what they have to say about things. There's all kinds of stuff. People, oh yeah, I do skill check crits and critical failures. There's a good reason why you shouldn't do that, and it kind of explains that in the Dungeon Master's Guide if you read it. All kinds of stuff like that, and optional rules that people don't use that would enhance their games massively. A lot of people don't know there are ways to create magic items in 5th edition. They don't know that because they don't read it. And people, you might cringe, you might be like, oh God, that's just what we need is more magic in 5th edition, right? There's too much already. But the thing is that they have to work for it. It gives them stuff to work toward and to spend time on. Making time a resource is something that takes practice. That's something that I'm trying to bring into the 5th edition game is the passing of time. Obviously, they don't need it to heal. I'm not changing that. Instead, I'm just using a hybridized 1-to-1 time. So if they end the session in town, then a week will have passed whenever they return the next game session. So, okay. The players are new to RPGs, 5e being their first. I think the power fantasy of 5e is a different mindset that would be hard to sway away from. Yeah, and then some of it also is just fear of trying anything new, fear of being a noob again. Once you've tried a few different systems, you actually get very comfortable at starting over. But for those that, it took them some work to get to where they are in the system that they're familiar with, it's bad and scary, and it also sometimes requires money and they don't want to do that. So it is incredibly hard to pull them away. So that's why I don't give people any grief if they have a hard time bringing people over. Part of the reason that I'm running 5e again is just to prove that I can and still have a decent time, because a lot of people say, no, it's impossible. You can't do it. It's terrible. It's a terrible game. It has its problems, but it's doable. I think a lot of it is that people don't use the tools that they can, bringing them back from classic D&D into modern D&D. Because if they did, things would go a lot better. For instance, everybody wants to just let you use an Arcana roll in order to identify, whatever, or give you all kinds of magical knowledge. Well, that completely gets rid of the whole reason to have a sage, to hire a sage. I don't let them do that. I will let them roll an Arcana check to see if they can draw a conclusion about something that they very likely already know. But otherwise, if there's no reason for them to know that, then they need to hire somebody who might know that. That's why you do it. So, for the most part, like, I let them use Arcana to figure out, whoa, kind of how does magic work? How does just those kind of basic level things, or if they're seeing something, what kind of conclusions might they be able to draw from it? But for the most part, having them, like, for instance, say we're trying to figure out what they could about the history of this ziggurat that they were exploring, and in order to do that, it's not something that their characters studied or anything like that. They need to go to somebody who's a specialist. That's what sages are for. Sages cost money, usually a lot of money, and they don't know everything. So you got to find the right one sometimes. And that takes time. Getting henchmen. Henchmen are useful. They save their lives. So that's, yeah. All right. Let's see. He says, I'll give a shot with them. Thanks for the advice. No problem. Oh crap, spoilers. What spoilers? What are you talking about? Oh, I mean, it's not spoilers. I already told you how that stuff works. That's one of my players, guys. Very, very cool guy. Sam Helm says, I'm interested in joining the game, or at least the Discord. I will put the link for the Discord in the description. I'm going to do that like in just a minute, because I'm about to close the stream. Michael Stronghold says, I have to try to have fun with 5e, but I can still do it with a fun group. I have to turn off a certain part of my brain to get along. 5e is just a different beast. It really is. The hardest part for me is just the fact that it is kind of hard to die. That makes it hard for me. The fact that they have so much magic on their side, I've gotten used to that, especially because of the fact that I have this steady income of moments from AD&D first edition where that is not the case. I think it balances me out. It's just like whenever you have too much fantasy, after a while, maybe you have to do some sci-fi or something completely different. You got to just, get something else for a while, get it off your chest. I think that I'm balancing myself out right now by having the higher magic and then the lower magic and playing them both at the same time. I think it's doing good things. That said, I'm kind of dying to run a Gonzo space fantasy game again. But it's not any time in the future. I've got too many games already, and I don't plan on stopping, with any of these games for as long as I can. So there you go. Oh, Brad for the save. So there is the Discord link. He is the man. Anybody who wants to make that happen, there is the invite link right there. Okay. So that's really it for tonight. Like I said, I just wanted to hang out for a little bit. It is 10:45 in the PM. I've got to get up nice and early. So thank y'all for hanging out, and join the Discord. Hang out with us. We do I get in the voice chat whenever I see that there are people there, and I'm able to, whenever I'm not at work, or when I'm not at work, I try and hop in there if I'm not at work and I'm not running a game and my wife and I aren't watching TV. So Almighty Gordy, he says Space Princess game. Yeah. I mean, that would be probably the one of my choice. I would probably go for Machinations of the Space Princess, because it has all the best of everything. It is a fantastic game. If y'all haven't seen it, it is great. A lot of people really push for Stars Without Number. I haven't really read Stars Without Number, but I have no doubts that it's a fantastic system. Machinations of the Space Princess just hits the right note with me. It has all these fantastic things that the players can do. The player right there, Almighty Gordy, his character was an alien reptile race, and he was if I remember correctly, it was it's basically a Jedi or a Sith. More than, he had a laser sword. He intimidated a guy by eating the arm of one of his dead friends. It was pretty great. We had an interesting crew. We had just a straight up Han Solo style human character. There was the lizard Sith man. There was my wife's character was a plant based alien race that jingled whenever she floated around, but she she couldn't sneak up on anybody. But that was her witch mark, and she had psychic powers, and she had the ability to grow fruit that could heal people if they ate the fruit that grew on her. We also had somebody who was playing a literal dog with I think she had a voice box on the dog or something, but it was a genius dog. And then another character was a feline alien race that lives in zero gravity, and because of that has some particularities that they can survive in a vacuum. Basically, they can survive in a vacuum, and it's just great. It's a cool game. You can customize so much with it. You can create any kind of alien race you can think of. The more features it has, the less human it feels, and so a lot of the charisma effects go down. It's harder to get people to like you because you're just so weird. And then So basically unlimited customization there. But even with the weaponry, you can customize the weaponry in all kinds of great ways. Instead of having magic items, you have just tech, pretty much just tech items. So yeah, it's really cool. If you haven't checked it out, actually I did a video on it quite a while ago, and I've actually recorded a few sessions of whenever we were playing it. It's there. It's old. I don't even know if it's on this. It's not. I don't think it is on this channel. I'll probably have to re-upload them sometime. Anyway, Lizard Sith insert modern politician name. We're not going there. Yep. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, y'all. Have a fantastic evening.